Hey guys, welcome back. So last time we created this blank create function, what we're going to do is write some code in there now. So what we'll do, the very first thing is we'll get the body of the comment, so the text. So body equals this arrow SQL data, okay? And then we know we can just get body because that's what the name of the column is. So this will now contain the text of the comment itself. Great. And then we'll get the username of the person who posted the comment. So posted by equals this arrow SQL data, and then the name of the column is posted by, just like that. So this will contain the username of whoever posted the comment. And let's create the profile button. So we're creating this image right here, this button. So we can call that function we already created. So we can just say profile button equals button provider colon, and then the name of the function is create user profile button. This is the same function we called in a bunch of other places so far. And then it takes two parameters. The first is the connection variable, which we know is this con, and the second is the username of the person you want to show on the button, which of course is this posted by that we just got. So posted by. So great, now we have our button. There is some more things to do here, but for now what we're going to do is just actually output some HTML. We'll come back and do the other things after we've done this. So create some HTML. So we'll say div, and then the class is going to be item container. Okay, item container. And as usual, I'll put the closing div on now so that I don't forget to do it. Great, and then in there we create another div. So div, and then the class equals, and this will have the class comment. All right. And then close that div off too. And inside there, we'll just put the profile button, and then under there, we'll create another div. So what we've done is we've just output the profile button here, and now we're going to create this part that you see, which will contain the actual contents of the comment. So we'll say div, actually I'll scroll up a bit so you can see it better. Div class equals, and this will be main container. All right, and then again the closing div too while we're here. Okay, great. So this main container will be the container for this whole section right here. So in each comment, this whole section here that I'm mousing over. Okay, and then we'll have two divs in here. The first one's going to be div with a class of comment header like that, and then underneath there put the closing div on too. And then in there, we'll do an anchor tag, and this will be the link to the user's profile. So it'll be this username you're seeing right here, in this case, Reese Kenny. So we need to link, so we'll say a, and then href equals profile.php, and then username equals, and then put your posted by username right there. Great, so that's the link we're going to, profile.php, username, and then put the closing anchor tag on too, and inside there we'll just put the name we want to display, and the text is just going to be span class equals username. Oh, I spelled class wrong, so I'll fix that. So class equals username, and the text is just going to be posted by, and I'll put the closing span on too. Okay, we're going to want to put the timestamp, so span and then class equals timestamp like that. And then the text is going to be, actually I'll put the closing one on first, so span like that. And then the text is going to be a variable that we're using to contain the time span. So at the top there, let's just say time span equals, and for now we'll just do a double quote, but I'll leave a comment saying to do get time span. All right, so this would be how long ago the comment was posted. All right, so that means we can just put this time span variable in there, and then underneath there we can actually put the comment body itself, so div and then class equals body. Okay, put the closing div on, and in there we'll just put body, so body, which we know contains the text of the comment itself. And that will do for now. The rest of the stuff, like the like buttons and stuff, we'll come back to soon, but that's a good start. We should have these parts of the comments output. So in comment actions now, this data part will now contain the comment that was returned, because our post comment.php file is echoing comment create. So this will return the HTML of the new comment. And what we can do is actually take this and put it on the page. So what I'll do is change this data to comment. That's a bit clearer of a name because it is the comment we want to output. Now create some space here, and inside there, all you do is add it to the page. So we can say $, parentheses, and then put your dot for your class, and then add the container class. So container class, which comes from here, we pass it into the function. So container class dot prepend, and then just put comment, and that is it. So give that a save, and let's try it out now. So when we submit a comment, we should hopefully see it added. Obviously, it's not styled yet, so it won't look great, but let's see. Test comment, and I'll press comment, and we should see it added to the page, which we see something. That's good, but it's not the right thing. So we don't have this button provider class. So in the comment.php file, comment.php, scroll up, and then in there we can just add the comment class. We can say require want. In there we can just put the path to the file, which is includes classes / button provider.php, and that should be good. Let's try that out now. So refresh the page, and I have to submit a new comment. So I'll say another comment, and click comment, and we see this. So we do still see an error, but I just realized we don't need the whole path because we're already in the classes folder, so we can actually get rid of all of this except from button provider.php. Give that a save, and we should be okay now. So go back to here, refresh the page, and let's insert another comment. So I'll say hi guys, and post that, and we don't see anything. So what I'm going to do is actually debug this. I'm going to go to inspect and open up sources tab. I'm going to find our JavaScript file. So it was comment actions.js, and what I'll do is I'll click here to set a breakpoint on this point. So when I submit a comment, we should hit this point, and it'll pause for us. So this is a dog or something. Post a comment, and we see it's hit this breakpoint now. And let's find out what it is. So what I'm going to do is check that this element exists. So in the console, I'm going to paste that in there, and then press enter, and we see, does it exist? We see it does. It's found it. I've hovered over that, and you can see it highlighting it there. So it knows this part is here. And then what does this contain? So I'm hovering over that, and I can see it contains comment, but none of the I can see that there's no values in it. So when I'm hovering over comment, I can see there are no actual values in there. So you can see in between there, for example, in the username, there's nothing there. Everywhere we've put a variable, there's nothing there. So we need to figure out why. So I'll get rid of that breakpoint now and just press play again, and then go back to here and let's take a look. So what I'll do, I'll start by going to the comment.php, and I'll do a var dump of the SQL data and make sure it contains something. So right there, I'll just say underneath in the constructor, I'll just say var dump, and then paste that in there, and then see what it comes out with. So what I'll do is I'll set that breakpoint again here, and I'll submit some comment, and then we'll see what it contains. So you can see bool false. So it's obviously not containing anything. False usually means the SQL query is invalid. So what I'm going to do is go back and see why. So at the moment, the problem is that there's no SQL data here. So what I'll do is I'll print out the ID and make sure it contains a value. So just before that, so I'll delete that var dump, we don't do that anymore. But right at the very first line in here, I'm going to make sure that it does contain an ID. So I'll just echo double quotes ID, and then I'll just put the input variable there and see what it contains. So I'll refresh the page again, and I'll submit another comment and see what it contains. So we see ID 0. So that's the problem here. It's not taking the correct ID. So in post comment, you see where we get the con last insert ID. This is where the issue is. So I paused the video for a while I investigated some more, and I couldn't figure out why it was returning 0 because it looked like we were using it correctly. But the reason is because the last insert ID needs to come after an insert. So in this case, we've used the insert right here. So an insert into query. And then we need to make sure that no other query happens before we call this last insert ID. And you're probably thinking, okay, that's great. We don't do another query. Look here. But the problem is when we create this user object, inside the user class, we do a query, a select query, to select all from users where the username matches this. So, and we do that using the same connection variable. So the problem is basically because we do an insert query here and then we do a select query here, the last insert ID is going to take the ID from the last SQL query, and because this was a select query, there was no last ID, so it just returns 0. So the real easy fix for that is just to move this user logged in object to basically above this query execute, anywhere before this query execute. You can even put it right at the start here if you like, okay? So we'll just create our use logged in object first, and that should be fine. And real quick, just before we move on, I did realize we create this response to part without checking if this part is set first. And while it probably still works, it works fine, but it's always better to do a check first. So what we're going to do is just change this part and just add a check. So we'll just say is set like this. And then inside the parentheses, we're going to put that. And then we're going to do a ternary statement. So we'll say question mark. And then if it is set, we'll just set it to this as usual. And then if it's not set, we'll just set it to 0. So it doesn't really matter, but in my opinion, it's definitely better to do it like this. It's a bit more explicit as to what's going on. But anyway, now we should see it working. So I'll keep a breakpoint there. I've refreshed the page, okay? And what I'm going to do is submit a comment. So test comment, okay? And hopefully when I press this, it will hit the breakpoint. And let's just check the comment data that was returned. And now you see, you see the username there, you see the comment value itself, and you see this ID 11. Just there, ID 11. So you can tell it's working now. All right, so we're okay. Now if I get rid of that breakpoint and press play up here, it'll continue the execution of the code, and we should see the comment down here, which we do. Great. So that was my mistake, but it was definitely an easy mistake to make. But it was good for you guys to see how we can debug code and kind of what steps I took to find out where the problem lies. All right. What I'm going to do though, just before we forget, is go and remove this part which is printing out the ID, and that's in the comment right here in the constructor. Just delete that. You guys probably don't have that, so don't worry about it. But give that a save, and we're good to go now.